Good evening to another Life is People. Tonight we're honoured to have the WiggHead in the house. Good evening. How you doing?
Good evening. I'm not too bad. Yourself?
I'm really good. How are you doing, Ryan?
Doing good, doing good. You, everyone?
Yeah, man. Cold and normal, but you know. And Rich, how you doing?
Yeah, you look cold, Tim.
Doing good.
So just before we were going on, I think it's a great place to start. We'll just have a bit of an intro to it. We'll, the WiggHead, a.k.a. Jonathan, we want to be further called. What do you want to be further called, WiggHead or Jonathan?
I've just been called WiggHead since I was a kid, so either or, I'm fine with it.
Well, that's perfect. WiggHead sounds good to me, man. We'll keep it WiggHead. That sounds good to me. But we were just talking about how basically your travels in Australia. We were just talking about the Aboriginals, and one of the things I was sort of saying was I have colleagues and friends who are over there working with the Aboriginal people, and that although they are the first people in Australia, they're really badly treated. And one of the things that you just said then was quite interesting in China. What he was saying was that the fact that the alcohol abuse and how that was apparently genetic. But one of the things is that they also suffered from was they had a whole generation of children taken off them to be brought up by white people because it was more Western. So can you imagine the reverb psychologically for that for a whole generation of people?
Yeah, it's shocking, really, the way they've been treated. I've heard about that. Is it the lost children? I think that they call it, the lost generation.
Yeah, I think it was like around the Second World War, just previous to that, and it was the whole idea that these were two uncivilized people, and that if we take them into a nice Christian upbringing, we can bring them up and give them souls and all this crap, and yeah, do you know what I mean? And like I say, there's children now, I think now that have been taken, finding their parents, and I think some of them now are trying to take statutes of limitations out and trying to sue the Australian government over it.
I mean, I met a few. You meet a lot of white Australians, and they say, "Oh, you're from England," and you're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, it's got so much history in England, and it's so old," and they'd love to come over because they think that Australia starts when the white man came over, which isn't the case. Obviously, they've got thousands of years of history. We walk around Uluru and there's stuff from like thousands of years old all over the caves and stuff, but people are just like they just see it as when the white man came over,
Well, that's interesting. So, what you're saying? You saw stuff over the caves. I mean, I'm fascinated by old art, being an artist. What kind of stuff did you see?
Well, I couldn't specifically call it out. It's very funny. They're very funny when you're taking pictures and stuff. Like, I think a lot of it to do with birthing grounds and things like that. In the caves that have lots of artwork. Just through birthing, conceiving, certain things like that. They're very funny with it as well over there, taking pictures and stuff. But yeah, it's just a very sacred ground, Uluru, and that's what all the artworks to do with, conceiving, giving birth. But I wouldn't know the full in-depth of it,
I was just wondering because one of the earliest forms that they say of artwork was when people put their hand up to a wall, fill their mouth with like a red sort of soil, and then spit onto their hand and leave the hand. Did you see any of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and the colour's amazing as well. But yeah, there is quite a bit of that. It's spitting over, so you get the colour is on the outside of the handwork kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
It was very clever. It was really good to see. The thing that I liked most, was the colours of the natural soil they use. Is red, is orange, and that's you'll see stone-coloured hand with bright red around it, and that's what they've done. They've spat onto the hands. Yeah, it's wicked.
And how close are you allowed to Uluru, or now?
There's certain parts where you can go right up to it, and you can even climb up Uluru. They didn't let us do it. I mean, the tour guide I had wasn't fond of it. He said you can do it, but I wouldn't be happy if you did, because he's I think there is a group, that really respectable of Aboriginal, but it was too windy. They wouldn't let us do it anyway, but you can go right up close. We went into certain caves, but then there's certain places that are a lot more, highly guarded. You can't even take a picture, certain
And rightly so, I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because like you say, I mean, like you say, we've been their best for maybe 400 or 500 years. I mean, that means something. That rock means something to those people for thousands of years.
Yeah, well, that's what we have our churches and stuff, and our sacred places. I think that's theirs, you know, from really early time as well. You know, like I think it stems from what they call tectonic plate shifts, because it's a massive rock in the ground, isn't it? And it's like an iceberg. You only see like a third of it sticking out the ground. It's not actually a big mountain. It's just a freestanding rock kind of thing. Yeah, so it dates back, you know, thousands of years, and that's why I think it's just it is right to respect it. It's just somebody else's like religious belief, kind of, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not even. Yeah. I mean, other than that, it's the same as like you're just pointing out to churches and stuff. It's like going up to Stonehenge and putting loads of graffiti over it. It's just something that's almost intrinsically wrong about doing it, because you think that's been there way before we ever came around, and it's been there way before we ever go.
Stonehenge could use a big penis drawn on it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
A Banksy.
Spoken like a true American there, Ryan.
That's like there's an American motto, like it just looks better with a penis on it.
The end of Superbad. We're saying
I was thinking, what was it? I think it was Chris Lilly, Angry Boys. Anybody see that?
Oh yeah, I watched that when I was out in Australia. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, was that the show? I know it was a Chris Lilly show, but I don't know if it was that one where they kept drawing dictation, and they would draw a picture. They would draw the picture.
Summer Heights High.
Oh, that was Summer Heights High. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, dictation.
Yeah, they would draw and they would graffiti things, Tim, and they would draw a picture of a dick, and then it would say "tation" at the end.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I saw him on, it was Twitter or Facebook, and he was actually posting pictures that people would send him from around the world where people would draw the dick and then write "tation" after it. And so people were actually going around like graffitiing it after the show.
I might have to do it.
I like to see the first one that comes from anywhere in the Muslim world when they go to a mosque and try that. Let's see how that one does.
I don't think it would happen.
No. Even South Park backed away from that one, didn't they?
Yeah. Was it some girl getting 2 years for throwing bacon or something, I heard not long ago? Or possibly facing 2 years?
Unbelievable. I mean, do you know, it's one of those things I was thinking about this week. It's at some point we're going to have, it goes a bit back to what we were saying about the Aboriginals, that there's so much psychological pain on both sides that I don't know how we're ever going to get over this. We're going to maybe sort of put them on a bench in a hill or something and say, talk about it or something, because, you know, like they say, the reverb that goes back so far back in history, it's just going to be, how do you ever get over it? How does the Palestinian ever talk to the Jew after what they've seen on either side?
I wouldn't, yeah, it's a religion, you know, it's very touchy.
Do you know what I mean? Hopefully that, you know, I don't know, with more communication, hopefully that they'll get over it. But it's a you know, as we were saying about the Aboriginals, sometimes it goes through generations, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? If you've had your grandparents treated like that, it's going to be very hard for you as a grandchild not to feel exactly the same. I mean, how long do you remember growing up in our country? Where, you know, what it was like, how we had right up till maybe the 80s, 90s, or the whole thing about Germans and hate the Germans, and you could publicly make German jokes everywhere, and it was, you know, it's pointless when you think about it, because you go to Germany like, this is like England.
Well, apparently they're very touchy over there. You know, you can't bring up you visibly wearing swastikas and things in Germany. Like, you know, it's not very, it'd be frowned upon.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was that. I mean, it was this is a bit of a Yorkshire story. There's that when they have the I think it's in the Dales somewhere. They have a weekend when they go back to the Second World War, and people can dress up and they have like a character for the whole weekend in one of the little towns in Dales somewhere. And the last 2 years, there was a whole bunch of people all turn up. All these, you know, the typical sort of like, you know, late to early 60s people reliving their memories, but some of them are all turning up, you know, butchers and stuff, all wearing SS uniforms. and all that. Like, well, and you thought, well, I don't remember any point in the Second World War where SS were walking around Yorkshire. I think they missed the meeting on that one, didn't they? Really. So just to sort of like, you know, you're from Richmond as well, aren't you? You're a part of this whole new Richmond wave rising.
Well, I didn't like. I've only got caught onto this. Well, I've known Signed and I've been doing like the Sealing Demons with George for quite a while now. Like, but then I've only just stumbled across like, you know, the likes like Nico Cara. I didn't like know how far he was getting. You know, he's doing quite well and stuff. Like, I've just stumbled across Richmond as creative scene. To be honest with you, outside your house, I've only just, you know, I found them through recently doing this. You know, and. Tim messaged me saying if I think you put a shout out, you know, saying if I need a singer or some vocals. I don't know if he heard it or anything, but he messaged me and I've sent him along some. And I've just stumbled across it as well. You know, well, I think I'm the newest newest one to stumble across it. But yeah, I'm from Richmond, and I like it is shocking the amount of creativity. You know, it's growing here.
Well, I mean, especially from all angles. I mean, I completely stumbled upon it because I'd never been to Richmond before hearing about the Sealing Demons, and I kind of like the same thing. I stumbled across the silent houses, and it was like, oh, okay. Then there was Nico Cara, and just almost. I mean, even to the point. I mean, I don't know how well, you may know. There's a guy called Elliot who's I'm doing some illustrations for a book he's written, and the book is novel he's written. I mean, yeah.
I used to live with him, my old flatmate.
Oh, okay, fair enough then. Well, there you go then.
Left this house to go to China, like, hasn't it? Yeah.
Well, there you go then. That's another one I'm talking about, you know. And when I read that, I was like, wow. I mean, an outstanding piece of literature he's written.
Yeah, he's very clever as Elliot. Yeah.
Very.
Like for the U.S. Viewers, how big would you say, you know, Richmond is, that area?
Population, it'd be about 15,000, I think. But as the town goes, it's only a small town. You know, there's no like major shops here or anything. You have to drive to, say, 14 miles to Darlington or somewhere to find like proper, like a shopping centre or something. But like I can say by population, yeah, about 15,000. We're just a little small town centre and a castle and stuff. But as geometrically, I wouldn't know how big.
Yeah, I mean, well, just hearing like, yeah, like when I finally started like piecing it together that like you and Outside Your Houses and Nico were all like in that sort of same general area. It was like, wow, that's a lot of creativity going on for just, you know, such a, I don't want to say small because I obviously don't know how small or big it is, but yeah, just for one general area to see that sort of creativity in the different areas. And I guess I'm gonna have to look up this author that Tim was mentioning now, because yeah, it sounds like there's, I don't know, it sounds like there's something happening there.
Elliot Rawdon, yeah, he's making good. So I've not actually read anything. My girlfriend's good mates with it, but I've not actually read any of his stuff yet. Like, but
well,
it's shocking how much there is in a close-knit area. I didn't even know until recently.
Well, Elliot's book's fascinating for me. His book is called Come Down Sky Girl. I don't want to give the whole sort of story away, but it's based on a girl who she works as an escort, and she's basically they find her scarf at the Twin Towers. So there's a basic story going on about a guy trying to find out whether she died at the Twin Towers or whether she used that as an excuse to disappear and stuff. But anyway, when I read the whole book, a lot of the book is all based around Brooklyn and stuff like this. And it was like amazing reading all this detail. And I got talking to Elliot, and I sort of said, "Wow, how long did you know, knowing that you travelled a bit, knowing you've been in China and stuff?" I said, "What, did you spend any time in New York researching this?" He's like, "No, I just did it all through Google, just Google images." And it was like, well, that's what I mean about the creative writing. That's being creative about it. The guy sat there and just looked at all the Google and then used that as his inspiration. Fascinating process, you know. And like you say, to sort of give you a summary of how offline Richmond is, there's not many places in England that hasn't even got a train station. and Richmond hasn't even got a train station.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Got to get the nearest town to get trains in. I mean, saying that, my mum lives in Ireland now, and she lives in a rural place, and that's like, I think we live rural here, and the way she lives, it's like 45 minutes to a next door neighbour, kind of in the car, you know. But yeah, it is. We don't have a train station or anything like that. It's very, very. I think we did. It's called the station, but it's been shut down way before I was born, you know.
Well, the other sort of one to put in context with, you know, maybe to let Ryan and Rich know about this, but kind of really, I mean, I don't know this specifically, but I'd imagine a lot of the employment around where you are based is because there's a big army base not that far away called Catterick. So it's even stranger than that there's all this kind of creativity rising right on the back of an army base, which is I find quite funny when you sort of like look at it on the sort of scale of things.
Well, you look at Richmond, it's beautiful, you know, like, I mean, when you live here, it's like, you don't appreciate it as much, do you, you know, but you go, well, 3 miles down the road and you're at the biggest barracks in Europe, and it's just green fences everywhere with barbed wire on the top, and I think that seats about 40,000 people. Oh, no, I wouldn't even know the amount that's, but it's the biggest barracks in Europe, yeah. You know, we've had a scare near there recently, actually. There was meant to be a bomb. An explosion on the A1 near Scott's Corner, and there was a detonator found or something. You know, it makes you think we're really close to. You forget how close you are to a massive barrack, army barrack.
Well, yeah, and you think you're not that far away. Sorry to get really parochial on this, but you're not that far away from the golf balls, which is the main communication point. That, I mean, this is the point for you and Ryan and Rich. The Americans came over to Yorkshire and put all their spy-based communication golf ball things right in the middle of Yorkshire. So basically Yorkshire's a big target now for the whole world of like, if you want to take the communications down from the States, hit Yorkshire.
It'll be a nuke waiting for
which is all part of your military complex, which you two can discuss. You pay taxes for that.
Yeah, I live right next to White Sands area, and next to an Air Force base, and then about 100 miles south is the largest, well, second to Fort Hood, it's the largest base in North America, and it's Fort Bliss. And yeah, I think they just had another 30,000 troops move in there in the last 4 years, and so it's I don't know what it is now, but it's got to be, it's massive. It was actually up until a few years back. Without that base, El Paso City would have disappeared. I mean, a lot of the income, or I should say, just the economy was based on the base of Fort Bliss. But that's where North American Central Command or something like that is based out of, and it butts right up against Juarez, Mexico, and massive base. And my dad was military, and that's how. I grew up in El Paso, and his dad was military, and my brother's military, my sister's military. I'm the black sheep. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's just everything around this area. Most of the land in this area was just taken over by the federal government and is used for God knows what. And it's beautiful land that was taken over the last 70 years. That the White Sands area, most of New Mexico is federal land, and it's all military use. And so you see some pretty bizarre things. And about 2 months ago, I was out on the balcony. Actually, I wasn't on the balcony. I was in the house, and I hear this really strange sounding aircraft coming my way. So I run outside onto the balcony, and it was too dark to make out anything, but except it looked like a stealth fighter looking thing, and it was super, super low. But in front of it was an object that looked like more like a missile of some kind, and it goes zooming by the house, almost eye level, and right behind it is another aircraft that kind of resembles a stealth. But it was super dark. All you could make out was that it was triangle in shape, and it just like you see some pretty bizarre stuff out here. And I live really close to where Roswell is, and the whole alien stuff. And so, but the truth is, this is where some of the high tech stuff they experiment with. happens, and Los Alamos isn't too far away. You know, we have all kinds of crazy stuff going on around here. I was going to ask you, when you said you live next to that base, is it a lot of high-tech stuff going on there? Do you see strange lights at night? You know.
You don't, not so much. I mean, you do para training. You see para training going on a lot, and then gunshots you hear at God knows what time in the morning. You'll just hear pop, 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 and it's that thing that I'm most serious. The best thing, we were out picking. We were with the twins actually. We were up at a place called Hudswell picking for mushrooms, and then we were looking. And there was a plane going round and round, and they were just dropping parachutes after paras, and they were all falling around us. And you know, that's the kind of stuff we'll see. You know, and that's on a rare occasion.
Wow, yeah. Strangest thing I ever saw here, I was driving down from Albuquerque, and I was on it was kind of barren area, and there's this light way off in the distance, and it looked like it dropped like 1/10 of a mile in a fraction of a second. And then it was just so bizarre, because it's like, okay, nothing can move that fast. What's going on? And so there's got to be, yeah, there's some really strange stuff out here. Somebody was telling me about missiles that can make a 90-degree angle turn, and it looks like, you know, going super fast. And I'm like, how do they do that? I have no idea. They got some really weird stuff going on here. I haven't seen the parachutes. I think I might get paranoid if I saw a bunch of parachutes dropping in my area.
No, it was powerful training, that, you know. But that would make me wonder, like, what are people testing? You know, when I'd be constantly questioning that, you know.
Yeah. Out here we get paranoid about the contrails or the you know.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just today is like, hey, come out here. They're doing it again. They're doing that what is it? The cloud seeding or whatever it is. But yeah, it's really bizarre, because do you remember? Well, I don't know how it happened in your neck of the woods, but of course after 9/11 and all the air traffic stopped, we didn't have clouds in our sky for the whole time. And it's like, wow, it might make you think that clouds, you know, we wouldn't have clouds if it wasn't for all of these planes and whatever they're releasing into the atmosphere. But it was really bizarre, just like super clear during that time.
I do know about Beijing. I think I was looking up, was that they were the first ones to use weather control to stop it raining over their big drum. You know, like how for the Olympics, you have a big opening ceremony, and it was all open, so they used weather control to stop any rain on that day. So it is possible, you know, and like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not like far-fetched sci-fi question, is it?
No, and in fact, I think there's a Swiss company that I think they contracted with Saudi Arabia, and they were doing weather manipulation out there, and it got to the point where a neighboring nation was wanting to sue because they were actually drawing the moisture that this other nation would have had. But by using these, and I'm not sure what technology they were using, but yeah, they do have the ability to draw the moisture and make it drop where they want to. And I don't know, totally off topic, but you've heard of, is it HARP? Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think they just shut it down. Were you telling me that? They just shut it down recently, and I'm like, oh, they must have come up with something better if they shut it down. But supposedly HARP would use these ultra-low frequencies to push the ionosphere up in order to manipulate the currents of the Earth, and it's like, wow. It just sounds too incredible. But yeah, so you said you're a cook. What do you cook?
French restaurant.
Yeah, I like jumping around a little bit.
Cooking up chemtrails.
Cooking up chemtrails. Yeah.
Well, I like how you brought that up, Rich. How, like, even over here, like, we'll just look up at the sky and be like, hey, you see that plane? The fuck's that plane doing? The fuck's that plane doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, the truth is that they are dropping particles, and there was a FBI agent. His name, he was a chief of the FBI. Gunderson was his name, and he was the chief of the FBI department in Dallas, and also the chief in Los Angeles. And he decided to whistleblow because he knew that a lot of these particulates that were in these contrails are quite toxic. They're alkaline, I think. And so they're actually changing the composition of the soil, and certain plants aren't able to survive now that they're actually changing the acidity level of the ground. Anyway, Gunderson, he's pretty much been ostracized by the FBI community now because everybody looks at him like a kook. But I think he probably is just trying to put truth out there. Pretty wild stuff. But anyway.
I think I read something. I think I read something where they linked something with the chemtrails might have been linked to like the rise in Alzheimer's disease and.
I've heard that.
It could be. There's a lot of that going around. I mean, it's So, I used to chew on aluminum cans when I was a kid, so I'm hopeless.
So anyway, WiggHead, you cook.
Yeah.
What do you cook? Because as Tim knows, I do quite a bit of cooking myself.
We're just in the kitchen. It's a French restaurant, so we're just doing typical French food. I mean, if you want to go from snails, we'll get frog legs every now and then. Like chicken chasseurs, I don't know. It's just cooking, prepping during the day, and then reheating at night, innit? That seems to be the. Don't reheat the meat.
It was quite funny because we and Ryan were talking about it for the week because I watched. I don't know if you have seen. Have you seen the film Old Boy?
I've been at the half of it. Yes, I have. Yeah, when he bites the little octopus around his face. Yeah.
Now, what I find hilarious about watching that was when I watched it the other night, on the beginning of the film, I had a 2-minute spoken whole, well, in the process of this film, this octopus and stuff, and it was like, I just 2 minutes, like being preparing me to be offended by the fact an octopus can be killed. And I thought, well, we're watching this whole film, and that's the one bit that we're supposed to give it a preemptive now. Not that people being locked up, stabbed, killed. No, that's fine. This poor little octopus, we better really give a shit now. You know what I mean? But it was so. I mean, we joke about it, but it was so like that's what happens when you get people who are board of directors in who think, or censors who think they can. And when's an octopus become important, really? I mean, we joke about it, but why was that needed in that film? I don't know.
I mean, all over the world it'll be eaten like that as well. Well, not all over the world, but at certain places it's the norm. Yeah.
I remember when I was young, there was a TV show called Travel Sick. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was a guy from England, and it was on Comedy Central, and he would go to some place throughout the world, and they would set him up with challenges. And usually the challenges were like pretty extreme. Like he was in LA, and they were like, you have to join a gang. And he met with the gang people, and they're like, basically, we have to jump you in. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So then he failed that mission. But then he was in, I think he was in India, and he was on a street market, and they were like, you have to find the most disgusting thing in a Indian street market and eat it. And he goes to this one lady, and she just picks up a live octopus, right out of the thing, and just grabs it, eats it, and he's like, okay, that's probably got to be the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Let's try it. And he tries to do it, and the octopus is just on his face, and it's just shooting ink all over him, and he's, trying to eat it. But, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing that when I was probably, 13 or 14, and I was like, I don't want to eat a live octopus.
So is entomorphagy something popular there where you're at? Entomorphagy, that's the eating of bugs.
Well, where I am?
Yeah.
Not that I know of, no. I know the French are really into their, we have to specifically buy them in and prep them and everything, I think, to be honest, I find it funny because we buy snail shells in, and then we buy snails in. So obviously the snails have been pulled out the shells just to be shoved back in with garlic butter, but no, we're not really into eating it. I'd never eaten it anyway, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more popular. I think people are warming up to the idea, because I think they're looking at making flour out of crickets.
I feel like, not that it'll have to, but, the sort of meat supply will slowly get shorter and shorter. So, I mean, where else do we get our protein from?
Yeah. I think crickets.
Like Rich said, cricket flour.
Yep.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, when I lived in Argentina, I mean, they would basically just eat beef. But I tell you what, when they slaughtered that cow, every part of that cow was eaten. There was no waste, and even the skin was used. It was kind of like, that's an efficient way. If we're going to eat meat, that's the way to do it. The trouble is we're chopping down the Amazon to grow bloody soya things so they can feed the hamburger market of McDonald's. And it's like, there's something wrong in that way, but you're right. I mean, we're going to get to the point where if we all eat McDonald's, a lot of us are going to eat insects because something's going to have to give way, isn't it?
You've got super farms, like farming animals for this, haven't you? It's like, I was watching a film a while ago on Netflix, and they were saying, it's saying like one burger could have up to like 200 different cows. That's from McDonald's. Sorry, like one burger could have more than hundreds of cows because it's done on such a super farm, and all the mince goes into one sort of pile, minced up, and when you eat that, you expect to have like one cow in your burger, but yeah, that's not the case. You could have hundreds and hundreds of different cows just in one burger. It's like, it's sickening.
But it's true. When we had that whole scandal over here a year ago, didn't we? The horse meat, and it was the only reason we knew about it. But the only reason people knew about it was because they were told about it. The point being, you could eat a burger and people wouldn't even know what actually beef would taste like because it's like, this is just meat. I'm just being offered meat. I haven't got a clue what's in it.
You do, don't you? You blindly just eat it. I remember after that horse thing happened, I was in a place called Jacob's eating a burger, and it popped into my head that I was like, this could be horse. Horrible. There's a horrible thought, that.
But then like I say, but over in France, they eat horse quite openly, don't they? They're not bothered over there. They
Germany as well. Is it like what it was called? It's like a pate. Like it's like but if it was displayed as horse, that's fair enough, maybe. But when you're getting told it's beef or something like that, and you're getting fed a greyhound from a race course not too far away, it's not really fair, is it? Like you're getting.
Well, that was like Kentucky Fried Chicken over here had to change their name to KFC because it's not even like a chicken anymore what they serve. It's such a genetic hybrid of, I forget, I can't even tell you what it is, but I think it's like featherless and beakless and like just something gruesome, and it tastes like chicken, so
so good.
Did you all ever see a show called Better Off Ted?
No.
You can get it on Netflix, I think, and it's about this guy who works at this high-tech firm, and where they're constantly experimenting on creating really bizarre things for commercial uses, and they figured out how to grow a meat blob, and the idea was just to be able to grow meat the way you would like in a petri dish, right? And so then they were test marketing it. You heard that? And so they were doing the test, and they were having people try it and eat it. And so they asked this one guy, so what does it taste like? And he looks very sad into the camera, and he says, like despair. And then they figured out that if they would just massage the globule of meat while it was growing, that it would be a happy globule of meat, and it tasted better.
If they read to it every night.
Right.
It reminded me kind of like all those pictures we've been seeing of the Michelle Obama school lunches and like the mystery blobs and the mystery meats and all that. I don't know if anybody saw any of those pictures.
No, I've been listening to different podcasts where they talk about the Michelle Obama's forcing. She's trying to change the dietary intake of the children or something, and then I think some kid took a picture of like one celery stick and one piece of bread or something.
Well, they start like it was sometime last week they started hashtag. I forget I think it was like Thanks Michelle Obama or something like that, and they would take pictures of what they had gotten, and some of it was just kind of like, it was like a square mystery meat sludge that even pictures of what you've seen of like any sort of McDonald's, like, it didn't even like compare to like this picture of this like weird mystery meat sludge, and like some kid had posted the picture and it's like, thanks for my mystery meat sludge.
It's really bizarre because nowadays you're not even allowed to take your own lunch to school, because it might have peanut butter in it, and there might be a kid in your class that'll die because he steals your peanut butter sandwich. It's so sad. It's like, well, so now you can't even make sure your kids eat organically grown, healthy food. They have to get mystery meat, but whatever.
Yep.
Mate, it's always amazed me because I'm old enough to grow up with it. Every day at school I was given an apple and a half a pint of milk. and then we got told, "Oh, milk's bad for you." Do you know what I mean? It's amazing how just whim of somebody's, reading a book, the whole diet of a nation just changes. I don't know, you know what I mean? I mean, now they're saying that we should all be drinking milk because it's actually pure pasteurized milk. It's actually better to help you stop becoming lactose intolerant.
Oh yeah, exactly. When I can get raw milk,
I got some right here.
Raw milk. What's that? Raw milk or pasteurized?
It's pasteurized, but
I thought that was spiked eggnog. I was going to ask you if that was spiked eggnog.
Spiked eggnog.
But did you hear this week that Coca-Cola are doing the milk though, aren't they? Did you hear that?
The milk?
What?
Coca-Cola are releasing milk, and they're going to call it Premier Milk, and it's going to be twice as much. They're quite boldly saying it's going to cost you twice as much as normal milk. But this stuff, listen to this. This is their actual blurb, and I thought, how can they say? He said, this milk will be sugar-free.
Yeah.
I bet it'll have aspartame.
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
They'll put aspartame and
right. That's why
they'll put aspartame and Coca-Cola and Beyonce in there.
Yeah.
Who
is it? Yeah. Who is it that actually is one of the CEOs of the company that puts out aspartame? I think it's was it Donald Rumsfeld, or it was one of those guys that's at the. I don't know. Anyway, off subject. I'm so curious. You were mentioning where you cooked in England, and I don't think I think I missed it. What's the name of the restaurant you cook at, Jonathan?
Rustique.
Rustique. Yeah. When you said it, I was like, okay, what do they? So they do escargot and fancy meals, or is it like a fine dining?
I think it's like Yorkshire's take, really, on French food. Yeah, so it's like our crêpes Suzettes aren't actual flaming crêpes Suzettes, but there's not much competition around here. So yeah, it does really well. But yeah, it's just a French restaurant. We just it's run by a French manager. He's not the owner, but it has the French feel. So yeah.
So it's not fine dining, or it is?
No, I'd say it's more bistro. We are like we're not fine dining. We're not Michelin, nothing like that. But we do good for the area, I assume. We make the boss money.
Nice. Yeah.
No.
Do you serve raw milk? I said, do you serve raw milk, or is it pasteurized?
We'll be having pasteurized. I mean, this is the thing. I was watching a program the other day on Netflix. It's just about dietary and stuff, and they're saying the stuff that you buy in supermarkets, even if you try and make a healthy meal, if you're going to buy some sort of seasoning, anything with these MSGs, like it's so hard to stay away from certain bad foods. And like you're saying there, raw milk. Are we using raw milk? Like, no, we're not. We're getting it off the wholesalers. But that's probably just coming from another big company that are tampering with everything beforehand.
Right.
Well, it's like you say, it's that. I mean, every chef I've ever spoken to, or I worked in the hotel industry for a while, and when you actually sort of see a working kitchen, you see real meat. You see, half a pig come in, or half a,
Yeah.
And like you say, as we all know, I'm sure it's the same for you two lads over in the States. When you go to the supermarket, you get separated from it all. You get some sort of pinky, what we expect meat to look like, and it's kind of removed so far away from what it actually is. And I think we as consumers have become lazy. As much as it's the corporations to put the shit out, we've become lazy.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like this spammy-looking, goopy sort of pudding-looking pinkish stuff that's meat.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. No, we actually don't have that here. I haven't seen it, but I think I remember seeing it when I went to London a couple years ago. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. Actually, I had the chance. I was the Ladywell Tavern, which is in South London. The guy who runs it, he took me out to the fish market and the meat market. One morning, and I thought that was fascinating because I've never been to anything like that before, and that was really cool to see all these people with the fresh catch of the day there, and in this massive warehouse. Have either of you been there to the fish market there in London?
Not London, I haven't been, but I've been Whitby. I've seen.
Yeah, it's probably the same setup, but yeah, it was pretty massive. It was pretty cool. But they wouldn't let me take pictures. I love doing photography, and I guess that somebody had taken a bunch of pictures a while back, and it turned out that they were doing a report and the unsanitary conditions of the facility. So it really made a lot of people pissed off, and then later paranoid of anybody with a camera. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to take pictures in the meat market or the fish market because somebody had done an expose at one point. So,
but pink slime in McDonald's is okay, you know what I mean? But,
exactly.
Meat market's not. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
200 burgers or 200 cows in one burger, but there's a dude touching a fish with his bare hands.
Yeah, with concrete floor.
Not having that. Not having it.
But it goes back to what I was just saying. I mean, it's that removal. You know, some lucky places they still have butchers, but that's been removed from our culture. You know, it's all supermarket driven now. We don't even want to see that fish with a head, you know, that's been freshly cooked. We don't want to see that anymore. You know.
You want to see bright red meat, don't you? You want to see like bright red beef and things like that, and chicken shoved with it's injected with water and stuff, and you know, just to make it look bigger. You're right. It is absolutely. Oh, I must have actually there.
And
it's not good.
Without getting sort of too sort of like, you know, ethereal, but you know, these are our meat machines for the ride we're in. You know, I mean, we don't look after them.
I just thought of a proper segue to your music. We're talking about hamburgers, which reminded me of that interaction between Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta in Pulp Fiction when he's saying, what do they call a quarter pounder, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, that also reminded me of Ezekiel 25, your song. Is that where you got that name?
Yeah. Well, I was just experimenting with sampling.
Alright, so do the quote. What is the quote? So I don't get other people confused. The quote from the Ezekiel 25.
Yeah, well, I was not experimenting. I was just trying to use a sample, and I just to find one within the next half an hour with just speaking. You know, I was racking. You know when you go to the jukebox in the pub and try and think of a song, and you can't think of anything, and I was just trying to think of something, and then I stumbled across that. I've seen it a million times, but it just seemed like a perfect sample for the time, so I used it. No other.
Yeah, how does the verse go again? Do you know the verse by memory?
No, I won't be able to do it by memory. The path of the righteous man. No, I wouldn't be able to do it. If I had it on there, and if I was just watching it silently, I probably would. But no.
Yeah, but that was the quote that Samuel L. Jackson would give before he popped somebody, right?
Yeah, that's it. You're right. Yeah, he misses all 5 things, isn't he? He's what's it called? When he runs it in with his hand cannon out the bathroom, misses all 5 bullets. It's an epiphany, isn't it? That's a brilliant film. But yeah, there was no reason why I used that. There's no reason.
So in that example of that very tune, is that something that like you just said? Then you'll have the sample and the beat and the melody already there, and you're looking for something to fill it with, or will there be other times when you'll have, wow, I've heard that and I must write? I mean, does it work either way around for you, or no particular way at all?
I think for those couple of songs was like specifically searching the sample out.
Right.
You know, I wanted to use a sample for the tune. So then it was just the next job is to find like a piece of like speech with nothing much behind it. You know, if you're using someone speaking with like, you know, loads of background noise, especially with films, you've got a lot like a score to it, you know. So like if you've got that music behind, you can't. No, for me anyway, like quite adolescent, like I can't really use it. So it's just specifically said like searching out the right piece of speech. There was one off a film called Zeitgeist. I don't know if any of you like. Yeah, the first Zeitgeist, I think, it was the beginning. It has a guy on the song Angel, I think I called it. Like there's a speech towards the end, and that just seemed, you know, right for the, you know, it was just complete speaking. It sounded very, very dark, you know, like almost like too much to handle, you know. So like sort of use that. It's like a mystery. It's just finding the right bit of speech, really. I mean, that could just spark off the whole song. Depends how you want to go about it, doesn't it?
So how did you? What was your sort of pathway to? Because if you listen to your SoundCloud page at the end, the last sort of couple of songs are very different to the body of work above it. They're kind of very almost guitar-driven, almost Hawaiian kind of.
Yeah, the first couple.
Yes, I mean, what was your mean, when did it all start for you, basically? Have you always been musical from a child? Or?
You what, sorry?
Have you always been musical from a child? Is it one of those things that you've had all your life?
Well, my dad made me learn it as a kid. I had to learn the piano. You know, I hated it. Like, I did my first grade and all that, and I just looked out the window and everyone's playing, and I'm learning piano, and just like, but I'm kind of glad, because like once I left school, I didn't know what to do. You know, when you're 15 years old and they say, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? You're like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? Careers office at 14, 15 years old. I just go for Darlow College, you know, and did music with science down. And then I just seemed to like pick up, not so much like manuscript and like the theory, but the actual, you know, playing it, figuring it out as a pattern sort of thing. I just picked it up quite easy. Not easy, but I'm glad that I learned it as a kid. Should I say? You know, when my dad maybe learned the piano. But yeah, I've been a sort of musical sort of kid as a young'un. But I just like it. Those first couple of tunes on my soundtrack, my SoundCloud, like I did them when I was about 17, 18, on like an 8-track I had. And these tunes I'm making now are on the laptop, you know, with a DAW. So we'll have more of an electric sound. I've only got like a little MIDI keyboard as well. It's like 2 octaves at the moment that I got signed down. So I feel quite limited, you know, to what's being made.
So is that almost like a different way of constructing music? Because obviously if you've got a tune, you probably sit down at a piano and it'll come to you, or you had something in your head. But obviously look at the laptop, you're actually constructing from, you know, a program, aren't you? So you're actually just looking at building blocks. Is there a different process?
Well, I think the start of it for me would be just all on the piano still, because you've got your little MIDI keyboard in front of you with about 2 octaves on. And then once you just make well, for me anyway, once I just make like a little riff I like, or it's like a little like, you know, group of chords I like, just start building that. The tune starts to build, like, you know, sort of makes itself from then on. You know, you try something, it sounds shit. You try something, it sounds good, I'll keep that. And then you try something on and that doesn't sound good with what I did earlier, you get rid of it. And the thing just makes itself. Like, I've not been doing it for long, you know, especially on, like, what signed on was saying, like, production, you know, like, actually on a DAW on the computer.
I noticed you allow people to download your music. Do you have a philosophy about that, or do you just, whatever you create, you just want people to hear it?
I've heard a few people saying, like, you're copywriting, and I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you wanted to get your music heard, you know, I don't really see the problem in it. I'm not making any money in the first place, you know what I mean? So, like, if you wanted to get it, like, it's not on views and stuff like that, but just to, like, acknowledgement, you know. Yeah, why not, like...
This is what... Tying this back into MaidSafe, this is what I love about MaidSafe, because if you create something and it's your work, you're the first to upload it, and it can be whoever's downloading it, you'll get paid in SafeCoin for whoever views it. So, I mean, to me, that's an amazing way to go, because it's basically free for people to get it, you know, practically free, and you're getting something in return. And the more people that download it, the more you're getting based on the utility of the network. So that's an exciting thing coming around, and that's kind of like the idea behind Network 99, is artists like yourself can upload something and basically practically be giving it away for free, but because it's creating value in the network itself, the network is kicking back SafeCoin to you, which is a really amazing, revolutionary idea. I think almost everybody's going to go that route, and there's no reason not to. You know?
I wouldn't say, yeah, that would be like the perfect thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Very revolutionary if you hear about it like that. But like, I've got no problem with it just getting passed on. Like, I'm like, I'll be glad for it. You know, like I had Tim come up to me saying, "Do you want some lyrics?" And it's like, oh, someone's listening. You know? Oh, wow, you don't know, do you? You don't know about it. You just know that, like, I uploaded it on the BBC website, and then Bob Fisher played it, and then I didn't realise, you know, till like maybe like almost a week after, and I was like, you know, full of like joy. You know, it's like, oh, someone's actually picked it, or it's just acknowledged.
That's why I think it's almost one of those, we're at that epoch moment in history where in 5-10 years down the line, people are going to look back in amazement that we even worked in any way other than Rich was just describing before. Because I swear that our kids are going to, or grandkids are going to say to us, well, there was a time when you as a musician or an artist, you were working and doing all this stuff, and you weren't getting paid for it. Because at the moment, the same, we're all our drivers, and I've spoken to so many. I mean, I'm sure we're all the same. We speak to so many musicians and artists and creative people, and we do it for the sake of just get like Jonathan just said, and WiggHead just said. I do it and I give it away because I want people to hear it. There's no drive of money in it for us, but we still. Then there's that assumption that because we're all like this, we don't need money. Of course, we will need money. You know, bills got to be paid. Someone's got to feed us. You know. And if we can just get to that point, I think, and that's what I'm saying, that our kids will look back and go, well, there was a time when you got starved.
Yeah, you did it for a hobby or an interest. I mean, that's not like, really, it's just like, you work 50 hours a week anyway. When one of my songs got played on BBC, like, it made me want to put another one up. Like, you know, that was, like, the pay, if you get what I mean. You know, there is no money. It was the fact that somebody, like, kind of liked it and picked for the show. And you're like, Jesus Christ, like, I want to put another one up, see if that gets picked. You know, exactly. And that is sort of reward or the pay.
That's what I'm saying. Go on, sorry, Rich.
No, I was going to say, the BBC, how did that come about, and how much did they pay you for use of the song? And
I don't think they do. Well, when I got a letter, like, they sent you an email saying that you just used your tune, and you may be entitled to some royalties, but it's like a BBC introducing thing. Like, the scene doing as well, you know, they've obviously, like, BBC 6 even got a mention on the Radio 1. But you upload your music, and it goes on your postcode or your zip code, you know, like, I'm DL10, so this would be like a T-size area. So then my music will get uploaded to a certain local radio station. And if that DJ likes it, he plays it.
So how do you figure out if you're entitled or not?
Well, I don't know. I've not even thought about that, to be honest with you. I read the little thing underneath, and I was like, oh, it might be allowed, but probably not. You know, I'd never like.
It probably comes down to what you put on your Creative Commons or not. Did you do Creative Commons when you set up your SoundCloud account?
Like Creative Commons?
Creative Commons, yeah. Well, Creative Commons, they have different levels. So, okay, so you can be somebody who just lets anybody use your work for any reason whatsoever, including corporates. Or you can set it up Creative Commons so that any private person can download your work and use it, but if a corporation uses it, you're entitled to compensation. Well, and so there's a bunch of levels.
Yeah, I've never
you know, and it's not probably, like you said, it's probably not worth trying to figure out, and it's exciting nonetheless that they used it. You know, it's a nice recognition.
Yeah, that's the main part, I think. For me, anyway. You know, like coincide that dark days when I first written, and he was like, well, and like nobody would want to work on something that they really didn't like. You know, whether it is like just a favor or I know, but it's just like acknowledgement, isn't it? And this is why, like, when you get to, like, say if you're God knows what with your, you know, well known, then you want maybe start getting maybe peed off people using your work, but nowhere near. At my point, I'd be like, yeah, please use my work. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. So you're cool if I use some of your music in my movie?
Of course. Yeah, this is like, right. I'm gonna go to bed with a smile on my face now you've said that. You know?
Awesome. All right.
You know, this is what I've been waiting for. This is like when I got Tim messaging me, he would be like some vocals. It's like, hallelujah, you know. It's good. People are, yes, yeah, damn right. That'd be awesome. In fact, like, I would like, send me something and like, send me like, and I'll try to write emotions. Like that last song, The Orchestra. I think that sounds very like a film kind of. You know, it's got all that like emotion, looking rain dropping. I don't know, whatever you can put to it, but I quite like the idea of making not like a score, but you know, not just music. You know, just like something for visuals as well. Yeah, but yeah, I'd love you to use it. That'd be fucking awesome.
Cool. I'll send you a link to the movie.
Well, I mean, I was thinking that this week. I mean, you know, after sort of like, you know, you sort of mentioned you were looking for a lyricist, thinking, man, I'm sure you could almost start to spend the rest of your career just collaborating with people because.
Well, I thought that as well. I thought that very similar. Sorry,
no, but I'm saying because there's, you know,
even in your area, like if you did anything with like Nico, like wow, what would that sound like? You know, I'm sure that would be like extremely cool. You know.
No, I'd love to. This is what I thought. I hadn't thought this. So I asked Dan, would he be interested? He said yeah. And then Tim asked, and then I was thinking, if you got Si, Dan, Tim, that's 3 people there, and then you can almost make an EP and find 2 more people, and you've got like 5 different people on each each song, sorry, through the EP, and then it's just collabs, kind of. Yeah, I did the.
Yeah, I'll do something for you if you want.
That'd be wicked. Yeah. Get rapping, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to you on Twitter. Send me a beat, and yeah, I got my studio right there. I gotta move my shirts out of there, but
better than mine. Mine's a laptop and a bloody keyboard, and that's about it for the time being. But yeah, this is it. This is like the thing that's like more exciting is just people getting involved, and then like you're getting involved with other people as well. Like this Life as People. What was this to me like a while ago? Like I wouldn't have known, and now I do. And it's another little community of whatever you're involved in. Networking.
Exactly. That's the whole thing about it. I mean, I loved your stuff. It's one of the things I keep coming on about and talking about a lot. Like, I love painting to music, and anything that hasn't got lyrics that distract me. That's why I love your stuff. It was like almost skip over the side one because it's got lyrics in it. It's like no, we'll put Hospital on again. We'll put Orchestra on again. Do you know what I mean? And what I'm trying to say is, I mean, as we're all know, and I've been. This is me my own personal. There's so much crap out there. I mean, I like looking for new music, and that's what I've loved about the Richmond scene, as I call it. Right, that all the stuff coming through is actually good music because there's so much shit out there.
That's it. I mean, yeah. I mean, but I think one man's rubbish is another man's gold, isn't it? You never. It's a weird subject, that really, isn't it? It's like I think brilliant, and then. But yeah, I don't know what you mean. Like,
I mean, in the sense, to me, I mean, I know all music is taste. I meant shit in the sense of there's no effort gone into that, and they've been as lazy as possible. That's how I mean. Whatever the style is, whether it's some guy that's put in an E chord and thrashing it out, or it's some just big, anything that's lazy to me is shit.
Yeah.
So if you're a creative person, you put effort and hard work, and you realise there's no such thing as magic. There's no such thing as that moment never happens. It's hard work, and that's what I mean about. That's why I'm defining my level of shit. Anything that's lazy is shit to me. So
yeah, well, for me, like, because I just feel like when I'm making a song, you listen to the same thing over and over, and I've got a set of computer speakers I'm using at the moment, and it's like not a good set of headphones, and like she's looking at me like, really, it's like. 6 hours now, and we're listening to the same tune, and it's just the same like 30 seconds, like over, and you just like send yourself tunnel vision. But yeah, that's like not wanting to put out. Well, that's saying that like those tunes are my like the first few tunes were just like even now it's like experimenting. Like I don't know like inside out. I don't know. I don't know, like, you can't know music inside out, but, you try your best, and you're learning constantly on the way, so I think each tune may be getting better, just for what I've learned throughout making the tune.
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm saying, whereas it's very easy, and I'm getting from bands, there's so many bands, I'm almost known for it amongst my friends. I have a high standard, because once I see a band go off it and think, you're just writing this stuff home, that's it, you're off my list. You know what I mean? I used to be a really big Pearl Jam fan, and then it came to the second album, third album, I was like, you're just writing this in. You haven't got that urge. If I was in your position, well, I came from somewhere I used to be, I've always tried to play guitar and stuff, and I thought, if I was ever given a position where I was given the amount of money to make something, I'd always want to push. And I've heard this from so many artists talking on this, musicians talking the same thing. If they were given money, all they would do is make a better project. They would push themselves harder and harder. And when you see bands that are doing that, and you think, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then they're Super Bowl miming it, and you think, oh, please, off my list. Yeah. It's lazy, because it's kind of like the creative element inside you. All you want to do is push it, like you just said then. You're always wanting to experiment. And I didn't mind sort of like a band changing directions, experiment. That's great. I might not like what they're doing, but well played to you. But it's when they write at home, that really makes me annoyed. And I think it's the same with all great things. I hate it with artists. I hate when I was talking to Ryan for the week. I hate when I see films and they just write it in, literally. Just join the dots. And it's just so lazy. It's just.
Well, when you already know what your spark is, yeah. There's that's also a thing of like the second album, though. I mean, which I wouldn't know, and like, but I know, like, say like these artists as Jamie T always stands out for me. It's like, so you spent this like whole time making an album or the idea of an album, and then you get picked up by somebody, and then it like rockets off, and then it's your first album does really well. Then you get pushed into doing the second album. You've just spent your whole life learning, going through shit times, good times, all this sort of stuff to write about, if you're a writer, and then you're pushed to make your second album, and you've got 2 years to do it. And that's why it's like, I can understand, like, your second, it's just the push of the second album is going to be quite, I've heard, going to be quite, and I can understand why people would pump out, like, when you find your niche, you stick on it, whereas I wouldn't, like, I don't really like one artist, though. That's the thing. I like a song. I really like that song. Or I like that, like a group of songs by that artist. So it's like loads of different genres, to mess with.
I think. Go on, Rich. Sorry.
I was curious because I noticed you labeled some of the songs like R&B or hip hop, and how do you determine if something's?
To be honest with you, I really want the DJ on BBC saying electronica and stuff, and I was like, I wouldn't know. Then he was like, I like that sort of like hip hop, trip hop. So, when you're writing a song and you're like, oh, I think it sounds like this, or I think it sounds like that, and I'm always thinking, I always want lyrics to my music. So when I say it's like hip hop, I really shouldn't, or like rap, because it's not. You know what I mean? Because it's just you're missing that one element, and you want someone who searches it to be like, all right, yeah, I will. It's like, yeah. It's just tagging it to get it known, really. I mean, I listen to my own music, I wouldn't know what to categorize it as.
Now, I don't know. My wife, I was showing her your music last night, and because we did just finish a film, and we're going to need more instrumentals in it, and I said, yeah, listen to this here, and she goes, well, it's hip hop, and she's because in her mind she's not thinking about using hip hop in the movie. I was like, just listening to it, and she listened to it and liked it a lot, but had she it left her own devices, she never would have clicked play because it said hip hop next to it.
Oh yeah, well, that's it. I just see that as like a tag, like as you search for certain things, that comes up, So you want to get it in as many things as well, not as many things, but you want to branch out as far. But like, so you never know how far it's going anyway. You don't know who's listening to it or who's liking it or not.
Yeah, well, it's hard to define music.
Well, the trouble with those tags sometimes is like you say, you have the word hip hop, and hip hop is such a wide tag. It can be anything from MC Hammer right through to what you're playing. And it's people always go with what they think in their head. It's like the initial snap says, "Oh, okay." To me, MC Hammer's hip hop. Oh, he's going to sound like MC Hammer. Do you know what I mean? That's the trouble with tagging everything. Everything becomes too generalized, you know what I mean? That's
collaborating as well, like cinematic orchestra, things like that, where you've got like this real cinematic sound with a big beat, then Roots Maneuver rapping over it, and like anything can be hip hop really, as long as you got like a good groove behind it, and like Portishead, like they would like put it down as like trip hop, where it's like it's not hip hop, but it really has that groove to it, like where you can't help but bob your head, and like some people will like say that trip hop scene is quite depressing. Well, I don't. I just see it as like really like big beats, groovy. It's dark music. I do like. I'll say like.
Somebody just asked me not that long ago why I got into hip hop specifically, and when I remember first listening to rap and hip hop music, and the samples that they were using or the styles that they were using were all over the place. There was, there is no style of music on this earth that can't be put into hip hop, and that was like the thing that really turned me on to hip hop specifically, was it had that sort of mishmash of world culture and history, and you can sample literally any sound, anything from any time, part of the world, history, timeline of the universe, and if there was a sound for the Big Bang, somebody could sample that and put that as like a crash in a hip hop song. anything became rap, and that was what I loved about it, is that you could listen to every single genre of music and be like, no, my main thing is rap, because rap is everything, because it gets my head bobbing, just like Jonathan was saying. And yeah, it has that tempo, and it can be emotionally all over the chart. It can be dark, depressing, happy,
But can you
sad.
turn it into elevator music?
You could easily. If you know how I swear, if you put, I bet you if you put like Sir Mix-a-Lot, I like big butts, and you put that on like just a MIDI. If you put that on a MIDI map, and it was just like and maybe with like a real cheap like the Congo beat #1 that comes standard on every keyboard, like just play that behind it. Like I'm sure, yeah, everyone would be. They might not notice it at first, but it'll pass. They'll get away with it.
It is depressing when you do notice it, though, isn't it?
Yep. I remember I got Rick rolled at like Kroger, and I was just like standing there like looking at something, like getting stuffing, and like you hear the song come on, and you're just like, oh fuck, did I just get a Rick rolled? Like, are you really playing Rick Astley right now? Like, or no, there was in July 4th too. There was a big huge July 4th party by the or 4th of July party at the local elementary school, and I was there with a friend, and there's this DJ playing, and everyone's having fun doing whatever, and all of a sudden, yeah, he plays Rick Astley, Never Gonna Let You Down, and oh man, I'm just like, dude, everyone here, like all probably 250 of these people just got Rick rolled, and they're gonna be driving home, and they're gonna be like, oh fuck, we got Rick rolled. I cannot believe that shit. Like, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to bear in mind there's going to be a time to answer your question, Rich, about will we ever have hip hop in elevators. There's only going to be natural regression there's going to be a point when we're all old people in homes and the elevators will be geared towards us and they're going to be pumping out Wu-Tang Clan as you're going up to the third floor for your elevator, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it off, man. It's embarrassing. It's like, this is Dre, man. What are you on about?
But I was going to say to you, Jonathan, go back to what you were just saying about the second album stuff. I had a great quote from Kerry King from Slayer, and he was asked about his first album compared to the second album, and he made a great quote, I think, about all first album and second album relationship. And he said, your first album, all you're doing is you're paying homage to all the people you respect. The second album, you've got to put your own stuff out. And he said, that's the hardest jump to make. And I thought it sort of tied into what you were saying then, because it's such a hard leap, which is what I love about stuff like, well, I know the Demons have got coming in their second album stuff, because I know they're not just being, we could phone home every step and make the whole album every step, but they're not. They're putting out great stuff, and I think that's an important kind of element to what, if you're going to make a good second album, is to be a bit brave, and like you said, be experimental.
I think Sign I got good lyrics anyway. Like, I've just been getting drunk, like not get, like, go to the pub after work. I'll meet them, and I showed them like when I was making this like that Death of the West tune. Like it wasn't, I think it was called Shadows then, and I was just showing Si it, and we were outside with a headphone in each, and he's just spitting away, you know what I mean? And I'm loving it. I've got to be gritting like I can hear it, you know what I mean? Like just get it recorded down. Like I like that about them. That they're good wordsmiths.
Yes.
You know, there's like something you can hear. There's that one line I heard in that Dark Days, and it's like, drink the weight of your worth from your paycheck or something. That just one bit, like, just like I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. That's awesome, you know what I mean? And like that really got me into it. And then I do like if you just sit and listen to them, the good wordsmiths, yeah, they're good with that. Not repetitive.
This is one of the things I think there's a definite, I kind of like, you said about the trip hop scene, there's almost like a definite Richmond sort of sound coming through. And it's not like you all sound the same, because there's, you can hear Silent Houses compared to you, there's a bit of difference, but there's almost I think you just almost hit it, right on the nail when you said there's almost a darkness to it. There's a real dark, a realness or a darkness to what you all sort of speak about, even in your stuff like the orchestra and hospital and graduation chip, the stuff it's almost like a dark feel to it, but it's not threatening, but there's a darkness to it. I don't know, that's how I kind of see it.
the Portishead used to say to me, like when I was in Newcastle College, like I think it was like 2007, I think, and then yeah, I was there, and then I got introduced by my flatmate to Portishead, and like their first two albums, you know, to somebody who's into like happy hardcore or whatever they're into, you know, like it will sound depressing. You know what I mean? I can hear the depressive sound to it. I can hear it, but I just don't hear that. I hear the big beat behind. I hear it's like I hear the hop. It's trip hop, isn't it? It's hip hop. I hear that in it, and I just like it's just a different angle of looking at it, really. You know?
Well, I like how you said happy hardcore.
Yeah. I like a bit of drum and bass as well. You know, I like it all, but you know when someone's like stuck on one genre and they love that genre, then you try and show them something like Portishead when it's like, you know, it's all at like 80 odd beats per minute or something, and they're like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? This is depressing. And you're like, it's not at all, but I can understand why you think it is.
But you get the feeling from the music you're all sort of making that you actually do live in the middle of the countryside in the northern part of Britain. There's almost like you haven't got that whole. You're not trying to make garage music from London. You know, you're actually representing where you live. It's bleak and it's cold and there's a ethereal sort of place where you live. Do you know what I mean? Because if I started hearing stuff from Richmond, and it was all it'd be like, no, it's not Richmond. Richmond's more, and that's what I like about it. You're all honest to where you live. You're not trying to cover it up in American accents or give it the old Cockney Southern accent bit. You're all being real to what you are, which is quite brave, man.
Yeah. Well, this is the one thing I'm missing as well, like lyrics. I mean, I always feel like I've created like 80% of a song, you know, which is like you never get the full emotion through without the lyrics. So it's but the other thing it's always been like sort of my brother showed me like I went in his room and stole Eminem's first two albums, and he says on one song like he'll make you cry your eyes out in one line and then you'll be wiping your tears with another, and like that's what I like. It's completely diverse.
So do you not write at all then? Do you not write lyrics at all?
Yeah, they used to. Like I've played the guitar. That's like I haven't played it for properly for a couple of years since I come up from Australia, really. But that's when the first two songs on my SoundCloud were like from college, and they were like that sort of reggae feel. I had like an electric drum kit and a bass guitar and a guitar, and that was all you needed really. You make such electric sounds out of your electric drum kit. Like weird echoes and reverbs, and you'd think I'm making it on a synth. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought when I was making it. But that I did write a little bit then, but I've never been that strong with my voice or my lyrics. If I'm trying to write as well, it's like maybe too personal, and you feel like a bit of a douche singing it. Like that's just me. I really do prefer. This is just me though. I just prefer like getting down into like how it's made, and then literally I've only opened the laptop 2-3 months ago. So then compared to someone like George, they've gone to learn it. They went down to London. They lived there for a while. They were a lot more clued up, I'd say, than me at the moment. But I'm just I'm opening the book and learning how to read, putting one leg in front of the other.
Well, you're doing it in the best possible form. That's why I was trying to say before to you about collaboration, because I think you've always got a benefit. I've been around enough musicians in my time to know that some people are so precious about this is my tune, this is my lyrics, and it has to be done my way. And it's refreshing to hear someone sort of saying, I've got the tunes and come along and collaborate with me. And I think from that open process, I think great things happen. Do you know what I mean?
You can only look at something or listen to something for so long until you get that tunnel vision. For me, anyway, I get tunnel vision. Then you show it. Like I had a guy called Richie. Who I was going to do a bit of work with him. I still want to, but he wanted a few samples on. He was the one who come up with using Cool Hand Luke, but for that the Death of the West and that. But that was just a total fresh. I've listened to this song for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, just like over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you think, that's done. I'm kind of like, that's as far as I can get with it now. And then someone else sits down and he says, well, what about this? And you're like, there's like a million more opportunities now. Like somebody's just come along. Like collaborating, it'll open up to be precious about your music like that, I just think, I don't know, it's a bit, you'll just get stuck on it.
Is that the Richie of Ranting Richie fame?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, man, I love. I mean, I would recommend everybody to go and check out Ranting Richie on YouTube, because it's honestly, they are masterpieces of poetry.
He likes his poetry. Yeah. This is well, there's the Death of the West. That we sat down together and he put he wanted certain samples. So I just I let him just tell me what he wanted. And then I did kind of I give him the tune, and then he was like, I want this here, I want that there. And I'd be like, well, I kind of like this here and that there. And then, yeah, but I still think, after listening to the orchestra, just for me, because I'm only starting out, that sounds just I don't know, not as good as the orchestra. But the orchestra might not be good, it's just it's my newest track, you know. But yeah, Richie is some of his lyrics they're very. He just sent me a letter through my door saying he wanted some music. Bleak, you know, he just gave me these notes about something, you know, and then I just posted fucking CDs through his letterbox, you know. It's he's like, yeah, I like that. Oh, I don't, you know.
It's I like the idea of getting something bleak. I like that.
It's like graveyards. It was bleak. I think he was trying to say something, and at the bottom, he was trying to say, and he just said, just bleak, really, you know, just bleak. I've got the idea. You know, we wanted something.
That's brilliant, man. So you've just written the orchestra and stuff like that. I mean, how many have you got many other sort of other backed up tunes or?
No, at the moment, no. I mean, like I say, I'm just pumping out one out at a time. I'm sort of waiting on Dan and Tim from Outside Your House. It's a bit ad lib, really. I've sent them both the tune, and they're going to record what they want. It'll either end up in 2 songs, or I can collaborate the 2 together. However, they won't be, you know, lyrically on about the same thing. But no, I don't have anything backed up. I'm just literally sort of finding the path as I go, and writing a song as I go. I've got to be honest with you, stop just putting anything and everything up on the internet, because 90 of the 100 tunes will be not good, you know. But yeah, no, I've got nothing backed up at the moment. I need to start another one, maybe. Because I was just waiting for lyrics off these. But obviously everything takes time, doesn't it? So, you know, while I'm waiting, I should start another. To be honest, yeah.
Well, that's one of those things. I mean, I'm happy to send you some lyrics and so on. I know that even Ryan's got some poems and stuff like that. And it's one of the things I love listening to your tunes, because that's what I'm saying. I love to paint, and when I'm painting, I'm often doing stuff or drawing away. Words will just pop into my head. Yeah. I suppose it's how all musicians make their tunes in the day. You know what I mean? It's what I love about your stuff. You're kind of open, and I love that. Do you know what I mean? It's a very kind of, even if you did put lyrics on it, I would like to have an album of yours with one with lyrics on it and one with just orchestral stuff on.
Orchestra, yeah. That's it was what Queens of the Stone Age did. I think they did Strings for the Deaf, and they did the whole album just orchestral. Okay. It does sound a bit ridiculous, but it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know, you're doing two different sides. Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, everybody who says they want to do something with me is awesome. You know, it's all unfinished work, though, isn't it? You know, to me, anyway.
I've said that many a times to Tim.
Well, this is one of the great things about, like you were saying, it's about where we live now. We've got the ability to connect with each other, because this is so hard. I was considering this the other day. It was so hard 10 years ago to do this. You know, it would be almost impossible to do what we're doing right now.
Logic on a CD is about £1,000 with the key, you know, and now you can get it for, was it 150 quid on the App Store? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not sounding too oldie, but when we put our first demo out in '94, I mean, it just does sound probably old to you boys, but in '94 we had to go and get 1,000 cassettes made, and I think it cost us 800 quid at the time. And you think that was just for cassettes. And you think now, man, I could have done that in a room, and it was the same with CDs. You remember when CDs came out? They were like you said, they were really expensive. And that's what always annoys me when I go to. I was in Leeds the other month, and I went into HMV just to see what we're actually selling in HMV, because I haven't been to them for so long. And there was still, you know, like albums for like 19.99 on CD. I'm like, you having a laugh? But there'll be people out there paying that, though, won't there? I mean, that's a sad thing. There'll be some dad out there going, oh, I've got to have that album.
Yeah.
You know, it's and then there's a new wave coming through that all gives it away for free, and people can't are amazed by that.
But it is. It's easy to do it now. You can download programs for free and to make music on. And you don't have to have the best. I remember saying something, I don't know, like using GarageBand and that. And it's like it doesn't really matter like what DAW you're using. You know, as long as you're making something that you like myself. You know, it's like you're fulfilling your own thing there.
Well, to say to people who know
when you're talking about like. Well, I was gonna say about like when you guys were talking earlier about like the DAW and the keyboards or whatever. Like Tim, if you look down at your keyboard, this is how I actually play in my digital workstation. Is basically the QWERTY and the ZXC is the white keys.
Right.
And then so 1 doesn't play, but 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 0. Those are the black keys. And then same thing on the middle row. So basically, like, you don't even need a MIDI, like, you don't even need a MIDI keyboard anymore because I have, like 2.5 octaves, like, just on keyboard right there, and I can play just like that. And I have actually more accessibility because the keys are layered on top of each other, which is weird, so I can play, reach a whole range of octaves. And that it's setting alone, it's affecting my music and the way I play and the way things, it's just all compact and right there, and I don't know. It's a very weird thing to play music.
I mean, I was using the QWERTY keyboard at the beginning, and I found it quite hard, But then it depends how you look at it, Like I'm used to sort of a piano layout, so like Dan brought me around that MIDI keyboard, and it was just like, oh, finally. But like, I was still doing it, like using your QWERTY keyboard to write music. Because once you write it, you can quantize it and everything, So it sounds alright, But I think it's quite difficult to play on your QWERTY keyboard, isn't it? Like it's a challenge. I think George put me like the beat doing and take me back to the studio. So like I've got a drum machine and like a MIDI keyboard, not like a QWERTY. But yeah, you can do it. You get an airport and write a song, can't you?
Well, yeah. The hard part for me is trying to play it like an MPC. That I really can't do. But as far as playing it as a piano, like I played on a real piano when I was old, and then when I like the first version of Fruity Loops came out when I was probably 12 or 13. Like started playing the keyboard on there, and then I've been doing that for like so long that it's actually like really easy for me. And like I've had people come over before, and I'll just sit there and like. In seconds, just start going on it and be like, like it's actually like I don't know what I'm doing really, just.
Oh jazz.
And I have a cordless keyboard too, so I can like hold it up like a guitar.
It's all about the feel, isn't it? You'll make that music if you choose.
I think it sounds better when it's got a strap on it and you're playing it like a guitar.
That's
Visions, mate, you give me visions I don't want to know, man. Do you know what I mean? I have to scrub that from my mind, mate. You know what I mean? Rocking out with the Z guitar, man.
Do you need to see this?
It's bad enough it's in my head, mate. I don't want an act out of it. So you happy to get to the Mad Friday gig?
Yeah, well, I was messaging Tim about the orchestra, and, like whether we can put something to it, and then I said to him like, I didn't know what day it was on, I don't pay attention to that. But he said the 19th, and it's far enough in the future where I want the day off. Every week is like, do you want a specific day off? I'm like, I want that off, So I'm gonna head round to the Bishop for it.
That's always should be a good one as well, because it's like saying some good bands playing that night as well.
Yeah, well, they asked if I wanted to play, and they did the same on Halloween. But like I say, I don't want to go and like this is what the crossroads where it's like I don't want to just go up onto a stage and just press the space bar, take a melody out and play that on the piano. Like to me, I just think that wouldn't be visually good. Like I need a front man, like In fact, like, I was gonna go to Rant and Richie, but we just didn't have enough time. Like, and just to have him to rant over whatever I've had to play, like I just don't come out visually. That'd have been a lot better. You know, to
Mate,
watch.
that, mate.
I was like, I can't. I just don't want to go up and just press play. You know, I just not doing anything. You know, I need like a front man. So yeah.
Mate, if you could get anything going with Randy and Richie, mate, that would be awesome. Because
It'd be very interesting. Yeah.
I can imagine you two on stage together would be a fantastic combination.
That's what I'd like as well. All eyes on Richie, and then I'll just be playing the beats with the odd melody on the background. Get some good visuals on the go. You know, I didn't like. I'd really love to do it. We've sat together a few times, and like, you know, I've got a couple of things like that. There was that hospital with the crime thing in it. Like, what was that? It was the old bat woman or cat woman that he sampled for it. But yeah, I'd like to get with him. You know, more. It's just working 50 hours a week. I just go home and go to bed, wake up and go. You know, whereas like.
That is the problem, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's what I was trying to sort of like tap into earlier on. That if I was ever given as a band a lot of money that I didn't have to work, I would be putting some good stuff out. That's the point, isn't it? Because the rest of us have got, you know, this.
100% of your time will be going on it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, say, 50 hours towards the kitchen.
Yeah. No, I feel exactly. This is what I think Sign's doing well, because they like they go beating and stuff, but you know they can focus a lot of their time onto their project. Whereas like for me, it feels more like stamp collecting. Do you know what I mean? It's more like a hobby. Whereas like I go home, you know, a couple of hours, a couple of days off, I'll try and sit on it. Whereas I like that sort of more time to push it, not push it, or just you know just whatever with it. Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing, again, when we were saying about collaboration, because you can just basically put them out. You've already got these tunes, man. I mean, you've got at least 12, 13 tunes there already, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, well, there's probably only a handful of them, like, I'd be happy with. But, yeah, there's quite a few up on there, you know.
It's funny, though, because it's like one of the things I often, especially come around with this podcast, about the night market as an artist. What you as a musician or what I as an artist may go, you know, I'm the same. I did the same. I've given this story plenty of time with the Seeing Demons. I loved the first two things I gave them for the dual sides, and they chose the third one. Which is something I didn't overly particularly like, but they loved it. That's what I mean. So what you may go, I only got 3 or 4 tunes I actually like. Man, I love every single one of the tunes in there. I love them all. There's not one. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all different and diverse and stuff like that. So, mate, you know, that's the trouble with all us creative people. We always sort of narrow ourselves down and go, oh, I like that and I like that. And it always tends to be the one you like best is the one you just worked on.
Yeah, I suppose it's like the way you're making it, you know, the roller coaster ride you have while you're making it, you know. So I enjoyed one than the other. But, yeah. I mean, like, I'd say there's a handful on there that I'm happy with. But then, like I say, this is just me opening the book, you know. So it's like, say, like in 2 years' time, when I know a little bit more about the DAWs and all that, you know, it's like, oh, looking back, yeah, they were. I think it was that Ezekiel was made like on GarageBand on your phone. You know what I mean? I was just sat at night time in bed, like, you know, it's the same software. It's just a lot more. You know, it's no Logic, but it's still GarageBand. You know, it's got all the samplers and everything. You know, and that was just made completely on the phone. You know, it's like so when you like, I don't know, I'm making it on this, where it's like I don't like them as much or whatever. You know. But,
see, that amazes me, because it amazes me to think that when we were talking to Robert Leach a few weeks back about it, when he first put his band out in the 70s. Just to do what you've done then would have been mind-blowing. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me that it's all going to sit there on the phone and make a tune. That is, it's immense how far we've come in such a short time.
Like 10 times as many computer, like, well, your phone is like capable of 10 times more than the computers that sent the first spaceships to rock, like, to the moon. You know, like the stuff you've got in your pocket nowadays is unbelievable, isn't it? You know. But yeah, Ezekiel.
I'm gonna make a beat.
Yeah, on the phone.
So you made a whole of Ezekiel on your phone, yeah, from beginning to end?
Yeah, and Ezekiel and Angel. Have you listened to that Angel tune?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all on my phone. That was the 2 tunes I made on my phone.
So is that a case of I'm uninitiated in that? So to get the sample, would that have just been What, you played the tune and recorded it live, or you just
Well,
sampled
like,
it in?
the phone, you download the software on the phone, and like that's got all the pianos or whatever instrument you want.
Right.
And then the samples, I think it was like $1.99 for like an extra, you get your smart instruments and that, and then you got the sampler, and those samples are just literally like recorded off YouTube,
Right. Okay.
They sounded clear enough to me, so like, I used it. But yeah, those first tunes straight off the phone on the iPad, crazy really.
And how long would that have taken you? Just out of interest.
It's been about like a week or two.
Wow, that's immense. And then, especially, are you always left in the position though that it's always on your phone? So if your phone smashes, that tune's gone.
No. Oh well, like I've stopped that now. Like I didn't have a laptop by then. I was specifically needing an Apple laptop for like certain DAWs, but I went and bought a laptop. So like I'm not really. I'd use my phone now just for a sampler because I don't actually have anything else that makes like a nice. It records the samples really nice. So like if I were to find a sample or like a speech I liked, you record it on your phone, email it to yourself, open it up on my laptop. So I'm not using my phone anymore. But it was interesting.
Well, Seth and the boys from Fog were saying they did exactly the same. They went around the streets of Leeds and recorded in ambient background sounds of traffic and stuff. So it's another use of that tool, isn't it? That only a creative person would have thought about. The average.
Awesome as well, to have in your pocket there just then, if you need to record something.
Right, yeah, you think how much that's changed everything in the world, you know what I mean? I mean, you think that the ability we've all got to record. I mean, I'm almost when just have a photo of someone, like, take it to the shop, get it processed, now, bang, bang. It changes as a culture, I think.
Well, my girlfriend the other day, today, she was taking pictures of Shetland ponies, and then we walked off, and she was like, "Do you want to see the pictures of the Shetland ponies?" And I'm like, "No, Harriet,
they're there."
You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm alright. Like, I've seen them already. Like, in a week or something, I'm like, oh, what them Shetland ponies look like? Let's have a look.
So Ryan, I think we should talk about the bidding process for the auction, though.
What's that? I caught the last bit.
I say we should be a good point for me and you to talk about the to promote the bid for the auction for Khan.
Yeah, somebody wanted to kick my ass. I don't know who it was, but I've been trying to bid against them and do it. It just keeps going higher, and then just out of spite, I try to raise the bid like 5 or 6 more times, and I'm just like, damn it, who's doing this? But no, I'm trying to push it out there. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, just trying to get the ball rolling, and yeah, it's a sweet package. I really do want it. I want some Tim's paintings hanging in my room.
Oh.
I got my masks up here. You probably can't see them off camera, but yeah, they're my even masks that I made are hanging on the wall.
And I mean, obviously, it's a week on since you made a video. Are you happy with what you've done? I mean. A week after you've done it now, so it's out in the open. It's out in the ether now, so you can say whatever you like about it. I mean, how are you feeling about it now, a week on?
I can't believe what I did. I just, yeah. No, I'm always proud of what I do because it always, I kind of go in with some ideas, and I really don't stick to my guns a lot of the times. I'm just like, this is one of the things. This is just how it's, this is what I see. We'll go out and try to capture it, and as long as what I'm capturing, I can say, I like it and I'm proud of that. I know once I get into editing, I'm going to start playing around. It's just going to turn out like something I never even imagined or never would have been able to do if I had said, I'm sticking to this vision and we're going to do it this way. And but that's just how I've always, or at least that's as far as like my better work that I'm really most proud of. That's how those things always came about, was when I was more open and more adjustable and just with the spontaneity of, if we're going to film on specific day, I don't want to plan too many things because once I get there, everything's going to change. I'm going to want to do other things, and other people are going to have ideas, and everything's going to affect everything. And I'm extremely proud of it. It's definitely a mind-blowing video.
It's really good. I really enjoy it.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
I like
Hey, if I can do any visuals,
the
I'm around.
dedication. It was awesome. Like it was like very psychedelic.
We were going for the tribal sort of the new, I don't know how to explain it really, but yeah, we had kind of me and the twins had talked about it, kind of the whole tribe fire dance going on, and yeah, I think it definitely came through, and I think it was Sire, I forget who, Sire Dan said it, but he was like, yeah, I've definitely had mornings where I've woken up and I've thought, something like that probably happened last night.
Down at the river somewhere,
yeah. Yeah.
Really
I definitely wanted to take on that sort of a black mass ritual hysteria that I'm sure came the morning after one of those nights where of summoning demons, where everyone woke up and was just kind of like, oh shit, what the fuck happened? And it's like, oh look, I actually got it on film. Check it out. That's what happened last night. You fuck.
Well, that again, I mean, it's another one. It's been an amazing process that has all been done from Richmond to Toledo. You know what I mean? Thousands of miles.
This is, and then they go to Scotland with you for the artwork and stuff. It's brilliant all over.
Yeah,
absolutely awesome. Brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, I've often said, man, it's been one hell of a party when they get all of us in a room together, actually person to person.
Oh God.
Write a crazy song.
First round is on Tim.
The second round's on you, mate.
Oh shit.
That's when everyone's warmed up and they're really drinking.
Yep. And then I'm like, have you ever heard of Jameson?
But no, I mean it's so yeah. Well, the Mad Friday gig, and we were just saying then, and just to finish off our conversation, right? For people listening, the auction is finishing on the 6th. So let's see if we can raise some money for this for Carme, because as we say, it's all for a good cause, in the sense of raising awareness and being a real subject, not just something that's frothy. We're talking about male suicide, so anything you can do, people. I mean, that's a bit of a call out to people out there, but.
No, it is a brilliant cause. And it's shocking to see that there's a handful of people I'm 24, 25 in May next year. The people that you count on your hand, that have gone already. 2 of them, good mates of mine. And it's like not just a suicide, but then there is a percentage of that hand you count that is suicide. Yeah, it's crazy. I never knew about the statistics until I watched I don't think it was the previous Life is People. The one, was she called Rachel?
Yeah.
For yeah, that's shocking. One of my best mates signed Ahmed, Cody, that's what, happened. Lamed, these people, and it's like, it seems quite alien, the thought. But then, you watch, I'm just baffled. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I didn't know those statistics. You'd think it'd be smoking or drinking or driving or something along those lines.
Well, like I say, I think the most powerful way of saying this, like I said in the podcast last week, if you woke up tomorrow morning and the headline in the front of the newspaper and all the media was Arsenal first team commits suicide.
Yeah.
And then that would be a shocking day. And then, like I say, the next day, Leeds United commit suicide. Well, I mean, how long would it go on for? Within a week of that, it happened every single day, it would be solved. But because it's all spread out, I mean, it's shocking. It is. It's really shocking numbers. That, and you think probably, a lot of this can be prevented just by, a shift in attitude.
No, it could, yeah. No, I was at the pub the other day, and there's a guy called Naz there. Sorry, my housemate just came in then. Naz came in, and he said, how are you? And I said, yeah, I'm all right. And he goes, no, how are you? And then he's like, the second question is always because everybody says, how are you? Yeah, I'm all right. No, but how are you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a robotic answer, isn't it? Yeah, I'm all right. I could be in the world of shit, but yeah, I'm all right. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm fine. But then, no, how are you, actually?
Well, yeah, because it's a two-way process as well. It's having the other person who asks that the second time. That person's got to be prepared. You might turn around and go, I'm shit, and then to go, be prepared to sit down with that person and listen to that person. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes people cynical, isn't it? They think, if I do tell someone what my problems is, they're going to get bored and walk away. It's that general cynicism we've got to get over.
Uploading somebody else with bad, oh, actually, I want to talk. Oh, Jesus Christ, I have to listen now.
Whereas basically...
It's not as America's Got Talent is on, Tim. I could be watching Dancing with the Stars, or I could, listen to you and your problems.
You're completely right. I'm missing vital television here.
Exactly, man.
I'm ready to hear your thoughts, but you got 10 minutes till Big Brother's on, so make it quick.
No, it's shocking. But what that girl said though, it is just like a male thing, isn't it? To you've been the hunter gatherer, you've been the emotionally strong, and then now you're meant to be this sort of like, yeah, I'm alright. Why? Why are you asking? When it's like, it is good to get, once my mum and dad split up, like I lived with a woman, I lived with my mum, and it's like you live with that sort of emotionality of like, I don't want to say like of a woman, but they are different, the two things. Like that Rachel said, if a man is depressed, she'd be going out drinking, he'd be going out living recklessly, and these are different signs to a woman being depressed, where she'd be at home. I'm not like trying to stereotype the two of them, but I'm saying like there are differences in the two. And when I was listening to that girl say that, like I did think like, I never knew that. Like I never knew that. Like I do have friends that you think, oh, the records, like or the, that is, it's just Connor or or whatever. These people have an underlying, whatever, and it's not just like wreckhead banter. It might be, it's not so blatant off a man. This is what I've specifically learned after that. They're calm, like these people.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. It's always the question that's always left when those people go is like, what could I have done? That's always a question. It's inevitable to not ask as a human being, like, oh, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done that. And do you know what I mean? You think, okay, that's a brilliant question to ask, but okay, how do I implement that in my life going forward? So therefore, I've got to do the things that I regret not doing the first time round. And that means, like you say, asking someone, how are you? No, all right. No, how are you, mate? That is the, like you say, that's the process, isn't it? Because, like you say, this is reality. People do die, and like you say, it's shocking when people at your age have known any death. I mean, that's wrong. It's not right. Especially when it can be solved. That's the thing. It's not like people are falling dead from an uncurable disease. We're falling dead from not talking
But to them, it is incredible, isn't it? It is like, but yeah, it's shocking to see how like, it can be so. I don't know, like so tragic to somebody. Like how this life can be so like such an ache to someone. And it all depends on your path you take, doesn't it? But then obviously the like the grass is kind of greener, and it's never as dull as you think it's going to be at that moment. Until you do what you do. I was absolutely shocked when I was told my mate, I'd done it. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and it was like one of my mates, Anna, rang up and said that this guy killed himself, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to ring him back. I don't know what to say right now. What the, like, you don't know how to react to that or anything. You know what I mean? It's like, right, I'll phone you back then. I have to just put that on hold for a minute, pretend I didn't hear that. And it's like, it's very odd. 20-something years old, and not just that though, not just that person, just like all over the shop. Like it goes younger than that. It goes way younger than that. I mean, like, I don't want to like touch on it too much, but there's a guy who was working with us. Like, he's got another job. He's had to quit that now because his 10-year-old son has tried to do it. I mean, I'm like 10 years old though. I remember being 10 years old and being like, I wish I wasn't born. Why am I born? All this stuff. But you don't go and execute the deed. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't had your bills yet. Freddos are still only 25 pence. You know what I mean? I mean, like, Jesus Christ, like, it's shocking. is this pressure that we just, it's underlying pressure that like, you know, I've said this at work, like you pay your bill, council tax comes through, I pay that. And by the time you think you're on top of it, there's a letter coming through just reminding you about the next one. And it's like, you're never on top. The peak's always that little bit, and you're always almost, and this is the nation of depressed people, because you're never on top of it. You're never ever on, because you just get a reminder for your next electricity, your next this, your next that, and that, I can imagine that for me, that's a weight on me. You know what I mean? Let alone people like, you know, whose views are different, you know, or more fragile. You know?
Oh yeah, and you add on to some of that as what we were talking last week with the twins about, was like we live in a nation, and you know, I know Ryan does as well, but you know, where there's this, the instant solution is medication. And
yeah.
Well, who's making the money out of that? Follow the money. Who's making the medical corporations? And it's quite easy for them to go and fund doctors to say, oh well, the drug war's bad. Let's go, you know, hunt the plant. But yeah, you fill you with some toxin. That's fine. You know, it's the trouble. You know,
they'll give you another one, and if that doesn't work, they'll give you another one. Yeah, it's all trial.
And like you said,
some of the antidepressants cause suicidal voices. Like,
well, my mother was on for a while after they split up. My mother was on antidepressants, and she said she never felt worse. And these are antidepressants, aren't
they? Yeah. What is? Who okays that?
Well, it's absolutely shocking. It's weird. But then this is the thing where it's like marijuana is completely like, you know, it's becoming a lot more of a less frowned upon thing in America, isn't it? Like Washington, the state, California for medical. Like, you know, people should. Afro Man made a song.
I mean, but even then, that process is just—it's so disgusting. Just how slow it is. Like how slow it is to get something like that through. But then an antidepressant pill that you're giving people who are depressed is actually going to give them suicidal voices, and that push through in, you know, probably a matter of months. And not only that, but your doctor will say like, "Oh yeah, you should probably take this. This is good for you." Whereas, yeah, like you said, like,
I was at work. There was a girl saying she couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep. She was having a bit worried, like, you know, and I'm going home after work. You know, when you finish at 11 o'clock at night, you can't just go straight to bed. And she went to the doctor, and the doctor's prescribed her antidepressants because she couldn't sleep. And I'm just like listening to this, just like, are you serious? You know, like, really, like, you know, well, whatever I do, like, I mean, but I still just think that's completely like out of order. To be offering, you know, this girl's younger than me. She'd have been about like 18, 19. Well, not that much younger, obviously. Like, but it's just still like to be prescribing a girl who can't sleep antidepressants. I just think it's like, what's the point in that? Like, I don't see any point. You know.
No. It's the whole this. Like anything in like all this thing, when you have a system of basically, like I said, follow the money. I mean, that's the trouble with everything. And I mean, at the end of the day, I feel really strongly. No, what has anybody out there got a right to throw somebody in a cage for doing something that they're choosing over their own sovereign consciousness? The thing that they actually, their head, and somebody's written rules said, no, you can't. I'm going to throw you in a cage for that. That's your own mind. If you want to go and choose a plant to relax by, go and choose a plant to relax by. But how's anybody got the right? And then you start realizing that the people that are doing this war on drugs are the same medical corporations that are funding all the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's you got one arrow going around like that, and then one arrow going around like that, and it's making and pieing and making and funding and. But then they say about marijuana, you like cannabis, it's like bamboo is a wonder plant, isn't it? You make a house from tools to clothes to paper. This is what marijuana's like. You know, it's meant to be like a wonder drug. Cannabis meant to be. There's a woman now facing jail because she went for alternative treatment, which was cannabis oil, and now her son hasn't got the problem that he has or had, and now she's facing 2 years in prison because of using it, and it's cannabis. You know, the Afro Man has made a new song. You know, because I got high. It's done a positive remix. You know, the first lyrics is like, I used to have glaucoma, but then I got high. You know, and it's all positive. It's like there's people like through the sale of marijuana, you're getting treatment funding for certain things. Schools are opening. Like there's so much benefit to it, and that's just
crystal meth. Crystal meth too. It's.
Well,
when I think of what I build and do and destroy on crystal meth, it's got I make tools, I make things, I see stuff that doesn't exist, and crystal meth. We should all be on it. It should be prescribed. It should be put in the water.
I mean, on that very subject, do you know where the word marijuana actually comes from? Because it was always known as cannabis. That's where, like, canvas comes from, because that was made from the hemp product. So all your paintings were done on, cannabis fibers and stuff. And the word marijuana came from when they were trying to pass it in the States in the 30s, because they were going against the production of that to bring out the cotton. So they called it marijuana, which went through the system, Congress and that. So because we don't know what's this marijuana. And the minute they passed it, they went, actually marijuana means cannabis. It's really sneaky from the start. The whole thing, it's all like the old saying says, follow the money. And at the end of it, there's some guy, well, maybe not, but maybe I'm stereotyping it. There's always seems to be some guy with a big round moustache going,
what about money? Yeah, because, well, say if you do have this wonder plant who can miraculously fix certain things and whatever, what use is bringing that out when you can pretend to fund research on other things and make money?
Exactly.
And then what becomes of that is people getting prescribed, like a girl who's not tired when she's going to bed, if she gets prescribed or get advised by her GP to take these certain antidepressant pills. When we've talked about here, like Ryan said, like they've been known to make people like even more, like, to highlight them, like, like to make them even more depressed or to make them even more suicidal. And it's like, if it wasn't just about the monetary system, maybe this thing wouldn't be legal and research on it would be not so, like, I wouldn't know the word. It's like not secretive, but it's hardly going on. The research, it's almost nothing. Well,
all the research that's going on is all underground, and then and above that, you've got the whole of, like you said, the corporations, the medical corporations funding everyone who goes to the media saying it's wrong. So we're almost like fighting an unfair battle, but it's not a battle that's not being. We know the truth is on our side, because it's like you said, it's a plant that goes everywhere. I mean, the same. And the trouble with all these trouble, whenever you make these things like you put a moral spin on something, the same happened with psychedelics. I mean, psychedelics have been part of the human culture for thousands. Go and read Graham Hancock. Go and read
the grog and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, but because we've got a moral Christian attitude to it, now it means any research, which is quite a lot of strong research to say that psychedelics are really good for depression, they're really good for a lot of schizophrenia and stuff like that. They can be used in really positive ways, but all that research is now, like you just said, having to be pushed underground because of a moral issue. Which is ridiculous in 2014.
I mean, I've heard this thing about MDMA, like an ecstasy. Like, there's a good, like, psychologist like to use this, or would, like, because say if there's a lot of trauma has happened to a certain person through their youth, you try to talk to them about that when they're 20 or whatever, and they feel emotionally connected to it. So they can't open up to it because they feel emotional, they're going to start crying. You feed someone, like, X amount, a controlled amount of ecstasy, this separates emotion from you chatting, so you can openly talk about whatever happened when you were younger. It's all got to be like, no matter how traumatic it is, you can separate your emotion from yourself while you're talking about it. You know what I mean? So it's like a wonder drug. Well, I'm not saying that's a wonder drug, but I would say, like, things can be used in the right way, but they're not. It's just all to do with the corporation on making money, or their laws. I've grown up to be known as cannabis is terrible, it's bad, it's illegal. Alcohol's fine though.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ecstasy. I'm not going to say I know ecstasy is a different class, but if you can use that to talk to traumatic patients, like PTSD, you can't talk to a soldier. I'm not trying to like boil them down into one thing, but a certain soldier might not be able to talk about it, like a certain thing. You use this certain drug, and he'll be able to connect and talk without feeling emotional about it, like, without feeling like he wants to cry or whatever. But you're not even allowed to consider that as use because it's illegal, But cigarettes are okay,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It baffles me.
Well, exactly. Well, especially when you think about it. I mean, you know, as I said before, all these rules are written by people that were probably a long time dead before we were born. And what choice did I have over these rules? Because funny, I'll tell you what it is. It's about. It's kind of like it's a diffusion of numbers. Because if there was 10 of us or 100 of us, if it was just like I don't know, 100 of us, all like the Richmond scene and a few of us, we wouldn't have a problem with whatever any of us did. Like, as long as you stay away from me, I don't care what you do. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're not harming me. But the trouble is, when we get into numbers of mass numbers, they say the same. I did psychology, and the same is true with rape. That if you're in a group of 10 men and they saw a woman being raped, one of them would step in. You put 1,000 men there and a woman's being raped, everyone just walks past because everyone's like, well, who's I don't want to step in. And
I don't want to be involved. You get this sort of, I don't want to be involved. Don't involve me. No, it's not that good. There's I thought not long ago about domestic violence between men and women. It's like a woman kicking off in front of a man in the streets of some city. Everyone's walking past laughing because there's a man getting hit by a woman, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, have you seen this guy?" And then they swapped they reversed it, and then within seconds you got somebody coming over like, "Well, you can't treat a woman like that," which I agree with. You can't, but then you can't like look at one thing and be like, "That's all right." But then it's still the same domestic violence thing going on, but because it's like inverted, that's completely out of order. You cannot treat a woman like that. Yet a woman can treat a man like that. It's a different way of looking at things, which is wrong. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. Well,
it goes back to what we were just saying then. At the end of the day, it's a very good example we were saying when we started this podcast about the octopus. It's all right to have a warning about an octopus. But we can see humans being shot, maimed, killed. Well, that doesn't need a warning. And like you say, then at the end of the day, it's like with you, Jonathan, or with you, Ryan, or with me. It's my choice. If I want to go and eat an octopus, that's my choice. If you want to do whatever you want to do, it's your choice. I've got no right to tell you what to do, and equally, you've got no right to tell me what to do. We're not harming each other. Simple as. And that's what I find. Well,
this is the worst part.
But it's the worst part is that this is still, I find, because I'm old enough to grow. I thought all this would die when the Thatcher shit died. When that right wing stuff all went from the 80s in our country, I thought, we're still going to die. But it's just become worse. Do you know what I mean? There's everybody, like you just said then, it's what offends one person doesn't offend another person. It's like, can't we just all get on? Because we all get on anyway. Why do we need a certain rule written down? Or this is now. What was it I heard the other day? They're saying, the word bossy. That you can't call a girl bossy anymore because you're being set. It's like, what?
Well, I've noticed myself. I've grown up with that. I'm 1990. I was born, and I'll grow up with that sort of. I'll say chalkboard now instead of blackboard. And it's just a thing that I've grown up with, and it's like I'm not racist in the slightest, but I'll say chalkboard just because I've grown up with it. Now in Greggs, we have a thing. Greggs in England, it's a gingerbread person. It's not a gingerbread man anymore. You know what I mean? And these people, you end up these people that end up being known, or not known, they'll figure out why is it called this? Oh, because we used to call it a gingerbread man or a blackboard, and that's racist, And it's like, well, why is it racist? Oh, because of what has happened, in the past. And it's like, it's just. Yeah.
Well, until we get to the ridiculous point of saying, well, we got to recently, where, as we said before, that we managed to build a machine that we can fly out into the galaxy, hit a bullet, like they say, it's hitting 2 bullets blindfolded on a horseback. When we land that comet, when we land our little comment on that.
Yeah,
and all people were bothered about was what that shirt that guy was wearing because he had a naked woman on it. And it's like, that's the level of where some people have got to. It's like, forget the amazement of what we've just done, be offended by a bit of material.
Yeah.
I mean, it's silly, really.
I saw a thing, there's a guy who helped, he had loads of tattoos on his arm or something, and there was a little meme I saw, and it's like, where, don't get all these tattoos because you won't be able to do anything with your life, let alone, there's a guy who helped land this thing on this comet, covered in them. It's all stereotyping. You don't want to stereotype people.
Completely, because it's as you said before. I mean, it was. I I mean, I haven't met a chef yet that hasn't got a tattoo. Going back to your chef thing, man. Every chef I know is covered in tattoos.
He's gambling, drinking, and it's that one.
Exactly, man.
Cussing like a sailor.
That's fun. Full blood. As you all of the above.
So, anything you want to sort of say, Ryan, before I wrap this up, mate?
I think in 2014, instead of using the term gingerbread man, we should use non-gender specific red person. I know it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy, but I think as a people, as a human race, I think we can come to some sort of understanding and think outside.
The gingerbread dogs, the gingerbread cats, gingerbread persons.
Equality takes time, and it takes work. They use the PC name of non-gender specific redheaded cookie person. I think we can not only help eliminate gingerbread cookies, but
the next episode
I don't know.
Be on Blackboard.
That's all. That's all I got, Tim. I'm sorry.
Cool, man.
Well, all I know is I'm going to brown bag it till I die, so.
That's how to do it. Yep. We don't want the mystery sludge.
Exactly, man.
Need it massaging first.
Alright. It's nice meeting you, Jonathan. I'm going to tap out, guys.
Cool.
Nice to do it.
Have a good one, Rich.
Bye,
I'll
Ryan.
see you next week, Rich. Just to.
Alright, Tim.
Yeah, cool. Just a couple of shouts out. Next Sunday is Brian Sovereign, which is I'm really looking forward to, because me and Ryan were sort of saying, me and Rich were saying before the podcast that he's a man who's on the edge of technology and what he does. Anyone go and check out some of his podcasts, and he'll be on there next week. It's a fascinating conversation. I'm really looking forward to next week. So goodbye, Rich. I'll see you next week. I'm going to finish with The Death of the West, if that's all right with you, Mr. WiggHead.
That's cool.
We're going to put that on. Ryan's had this. I'm going to give the final word to you, Ryan. And then, so I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Goodbye. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you very much, man.
No problem. I say I'll see you when I come down for Mad Friday. We can see.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
And definitely, you have to come. Anytime you want to come back on this, man, feel free, because this is Life is People. This is what it's all about.
I love it. Thank you.
Perfect. Go on then, Ryan. Have your words of wisdom, my Zen master.
You got it. Oh man, I didn't know I was gonna have the last word. I have nothing prepped. All right, Tim. Just start meditating, and I'll let it come out. Everyone at home, just hold your phones close to your heart. Know that you will be one with technology, and probably a good 6 years, depending on how fast technology goes. But you will be one with machine. It'll be Skynet. It's gonna rain. It's not gonna be hail and brimstone. It's gonna be microchips and data, and it's gonna fall from the skies. And yeah, that's just how it's gonna be. We're gonna be tribes living in the nuclear wastelands, people. Enjoy.
Perfect.
Life is people, people.
Life is people, people.
Some man you just can't reach. It's nice you have.
Yeah.
Just can't reach. What we've got here is failure you still can't. What we've got here is failure to